Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is our 99th episode. So you want to prepare yourselves, get your big boy and big girl pants on, because it's the 100th coming up. We all felt that the last episode was quite heavy. And so we are going to talk in this episode about just how seriously we take life, what mindset changes are open to us in order to enjoy life. And when we have been tested by something, what sort of brings us back into the full experience of life. So we can think of like memento mori, where reminders of death make us more alive, more aware of our aliveness. And in that, we were talking about happy news. And this is a publication by Emily Coxhead, and it only reports happy news. Gabby, you also mentioned, I think it was a website that only is reporting happy news. So I'm not suggesting that we have a happiness bypass. We have all appreciated in the previous episode that we have to feel the emotions. But there comes a point where if we are choosing how we respond to suffering or anything else, we have to make a choice for life. We have to move towards joy and connection and away from suffering, pain, and isolation. So this episode is going to be all about that good stuff.
Yeah, I think it's important to talk about it because I don't know how the listeners experience the life at the moment, but personally, I find everything is taken far too serious. No matter where you go, everything seems to be heavy. People seem to be heavy. Um, it's a mixture of people getting worried, being fearful, living in fear, not doing things they want to do because, and they come up with scenarios. I don't know what it is. Is it just in Europe at the moment like this way? Is it just my friends at the moment? Or what is it? I just wonder if there's listeners there. What's your experience? Do you find it heavy at the moment? Where almost people are almost looking just for the bad news and almost denying joy in life. Everything is serious, and I'm not even saying, bad, just looking at bad news, but even taking life so serious, in meaning, you have to have a plan, you have to have goals, and you have to do this, and you have to do that, and there's another list, and there's this, and everything is taken so serious. Is it just me, or is there a trend
I
of?
think there's definitely a trend. I think I'm not even going to go conspiracy theory because I know Erica will roll her eyes. But never has there been a time in my mind where it's more important to do the things that you're passionate about, that are going to bring you joy, whether that be traveling, going to a festival, whatever that thing is, because there's so many reminders around us about how bad things could be. And I'm also not going to go on about, it could be worse and it got worse. That might happen. But if we don't live our lives now, then we won't ever live them. My son's mum, a couple of weeks ago now, walked the West Highland Way, and she made a comment to me about how quickly it had gone, but also how long, and not in a drawn out, painful sense. And what she said was it was because I felt like I was living every moment. I was so aware of the walking, the vast scenery through the Scottish Highlands, even the weight of her rucksack, because she was sort of self contained for the week. And she was very fully conscious of being aware in the moment. And I think we as humans, and I'll make it an I, it's very easy for me to look at bad news and get sucked away out of the present moment into future anxieties, worries. Whereas actually, if I'm living here and now, fully conscious, fully aware, I find more joy in my life. And actually, I spend less time ruminating on those things that are dark and heavy, and which I think we are sort of pushed towards viewing.
Oh, this is like coming at me. I don't know what to do with all of this. As you guys are speaking, as I always do, I'm like, whoa, where's this landing for me? And what is this? I have never wanted to scream, fuck this shit more in my life than I do right now. Like, what the fuck, right? Because the heaviness is like, you could cut it with a knife. It's palpable. It's everywhere. It's everywhere you look if you're looking for it, right? But it's even there when you're not looking for it. It's saturated. It gets shoved in my face. I'm sick of it. I'm just entirely fed up with it. And Gabby, when you were speaking about why do we have to have a plan? Why do we have to be doing this? I like felt like my inner whatever was coming up screaming, no, just no. There is joy in the simplicity of life, right? Like I don't need to have some massive fucking undertaking and mission in life in order to feel joyful. I find I'm most joyful when I'm hanging out at home with my dog with a cup of coffee, listening to the birds, looking at my pool that can't wait for me to open it, like just, yes, the simplicity of walking around my backyard with Brett and just like I'm safe, I'm home. I don't have to be anything other than who I am, and fuck this shit is what I want to be screaming on the top of my lungs right now. But speaking about joy, so Brett and I went to go watch our niece perform last night, and I feel like this story is really applicable to this, right? Because of all the heaviness and the way people are constantly trying to hurt each other and bring each other down, and just like all of that shit. We go to this talent show, local high school. We had tons of acts and performances that were going on. And I was struck by the passion in these kids, in what they were bringing to the stage, the courage that it took, and in awe of their ability to just step through that and do it anyway, right? We had some kids there that were writing their own songs and singing it. Like, we're talking like freshmen, sophomores in high school, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids. And I was filled with such admiration for them and enjoying every single moment of it. And the talent ranges, right? It varies. And the support of everybody in that auditorium last night didn't waver from one performance to the next. And I was increasingly filled with I was renewed. My faith in humanity was renewed, especially because we're in a high school. That can be one of the toughest places to be, is high school. You got kids, right? They can not be nice sometimes. I felt none of that last night. There were cell phones on with lights, like we were in a concert. There was support. There was one kid there that was handicapped to some degree. I don't know what it was, but he sang a song, and people were cheering and woohooing him the whole entire time. And at the end of the performance, he was voted the fan favorite. And it was the most fucking amazing thing that I ever witnessed. People were standing up and cheering. He was surprised and so excited. And I was like, that was the greatest Friday night I could have spent with my time, just enjoying that. I personally was filled with joy, which is sometimes, as my friends here know, is hard for me to tap into because things are so heavy a lot. And this week particular, there's a lot of heaviness going on for me, but I had a moment of full joy in that time that I spent last night, right? So while I was very aware of the heavy emotional stuff that's going on in my life and with people around me, I was able to be fully in it and laugh and cheer and sing and cry because I was so moved by the pure positive energy last night that I'm like, we need more of this. We need more of this. And because people were reacting that way, I think we all know we need more of this and want more of this, that ability to just enjoy and be free and cheer people on and not be told to be quiet and shush down and stop acting that way. It was awesome. So yeah, I'm all about it, and I'm ready to scream "fuck this shit" at the top of my lungs about everything. Like seriously, everything. this is yeah, it's too much sometimes. Like we weren't born, we weren't born to feel the weight and to be suffocated by the heaviness that's going on. There's joy in the simplicity of life, I think.
Mm.
It's about the experiences, isn't it? Because I think what we're starting to do is deny ourselves actual experiences. And I was thinking about the other day. I mean, the other day I was out with a friend. I accompanied her because she forgot her handbag the day before, and we just went there to get it, and it didn't take long, half an hour, and we're looking at each other and said, "What we do with the rest of the day? We could have gone back and worked, but it was beautiful sun. We did something which we did regularly. Not so many years ago. We just said, let's go for a drive. We didn't put any Google Maps on, nothing. We just went for the drive and saw where the car brought us. An adventure. With no maps, with no nothing. And it was so much fun. And the stuff and it felt like we were explorer because we were, suddenly discovering stuff. We never been there before, and it was so much fun. And I said, where's the joy in the moment gone to? It seems like everything has to be bland. Yet, you know, people just used to go to walks in the forest, and that's it. Sun was shining, you just went somewhere and you walked in the forest. Nowadays, no, it has to be a thing. Now we give it a Japanese name and call it forest bathing and pretend it's something new. And you can even pay people for it to go with you Hello, it's a walk in the woods. That's all it is, right? The Japanese don't make a deal out of it. They just go on Sundays and do it, right? They just have a name for it, a specific name. But in Europe now, it has become a thing. You have to pay money for it. And we're like, what the hell? What has happened to just go out and do your thing and be adventurous and enjoy life in the moment and have an experience?
We spoke in the previous. Go on.
No.
We spoke in the previous episode about the universality of suffering, and I actually think if the common human experience is actually joy, because you can look at kids the world over and they live in joy, and it doesn't matter what their circumstances are. Whereas we were talking about the context of suffering. Yes, there's a point where kids get sort of self-conscious and they don't just live in that joyful way. And there's probably all sorts of things we could talk about pressures that are put on people to conform. But actually, I really believe our purpose for being here is to experience joy. And the more that we recognize, as we've spoken about before, that joy, gifts, gifting, none of that has to come with huge expense, and it's more about what we do and how we experience it. And maybe that's potentially an easier shift for us to make, to help people make, because some of the other things are difficult. People don't want to move away from certain bits and pieces, whereas everybody, I think, wants to find more joy. Brett talked about all these limiting beliefs, and for sure they are there, but actually it's probably a lot easier to take people and say, you want to find your joy, okay, let's do that, because the motivation to find it seems to be in everybody, and the more pressures there are and the heavier things are, the more I feel like it wants to bubble up. It's like you can't pressure, you can't squeeze water. It will always find a way, won't it? And I feel like joy is the same. You can try and trap it and squeeze it between two dense matters, and it will find a way to bubble out.
I think it's interesting what you're saying, and it's not about the pursuit of happiness or the pursuit of joy, where we just chase things. But I think it's the moments, it's the present again, where we forget about it. A friend of mine said the other day, you know what? Sometimes we just need to enjoy the moment and be spontaneous about it. A bit like Erica when you said, I'm just happy to be out in the garden with my dog in the sunshine with a cup of coffee and enjoy the break and the quietness and watching the dog have fun playing around. That's sometimes all it needs. What did my friends say? Why does everything have to have a deeper meaning and a purpose? I want days with no purpose, where I just let the soul do whatever it wants to do and let it flow. Not every single minute of our lives has to be geared towards goals, success, whatever it is. Sometimes we just need to be. Simple as that.
This conversation, all I want is an omelet now, because Brett said break eggs, make an omelet. I want an omelet and a fucking car ride with the three of you. Like that, to me, that's it. That's the penultimate. That's joy for me, right? To have a nice little omelet and go on a road trip, which, side note, I think we should go on a live road trip and do this podcast on the road live all the time. But that's the side note. Anyway, there's something to this constant aspiring for greatness that I think, Gabby, that you're hitting on, that keeps coming up for me, right? Because it's this, Like, oh my God, this is so topical for me right now. Like, I don't even know what to do with what's coming up here. Like, I have to temper myself in a minute. So, yeah, like this self-judgment that goes on if I'm finding peace and joy in doing less, right? Like I'm not striving to have some major anything. I just, if there's food on my table and everybody around me is healthy and happy in what they're doing, and I can just have a few good friends and a good cup of coffee and the sunshine and sometimes even the rain, because I dig the rain, man. It's like, I love it. It makes me feel, I find joy in the rain. That's fine. Come at me if you want, but I find joy in the rain, in the comfort of the rain, right? And just being home. Why is that wrong? There's nothing wrong with it. So there is for me, and this is what's just coming up now, is there, I don't need to be striving for all the biggest, greatest experiences in life, but I don't need to say no to them either. I can enjoy them, but joy is really, it's simple. Like it's simple. It doesn't take much. And can I put the self-judgment aside that I don't have to be creating some massive empire and, helping the world and having a ripple effect, when how much better would I be if I just enjoyed every moment and allowed joy to show up? Because when I'm joyful, it's contagious when somebody is around you that is joyful, right? And laughing and having fun and being easy to be around. It's pretty wild. I should have had my mug today. I have a mug that's upstairs that says, "A wise woman once said, fuck this shit and lived happily ever after." I should be drinking my coffee from that mug today.
It's the pressure of performance, isn't it, which is constantly there. And I think that's why it makes it so heavy. Pressure of performance, and I don't know where this suddenly came from, that only if you are busy all the time doing your lists and having your stuff, I mean, and not only work, even in private life, right? You have to hit the gym at 6 o'clock, and you have to do this and you have to do that, and it's like, if we don't make everything a job and a routine and a rule, and we have to stick to it 120%, then you're a failure, and you're not a worth being kind of attitude. When did it come in? When did that happen? Everything has to be a performance.
Well, I think it kind of happened at the same time as everything got monetized. I mean, there's not a single thing that someone, well, you just said it with forest bathing. I mean, that was the most basic of human gifts. Like, go and walk in the nature that surrounds you. And yeah, many of us have been dragged away from nature. And again, we get into a whole conversation about the Industrial Revolution. We're not going to go there. But we all lived closer to nature. We were more aware of the seasons. Erica was just talking about the joy of the rain. If you can't take joy in the blossoming of the trees and flowers around you because you don't have time to see it, or you can't take joy in the changing in the colour of the leaves and their falling. I sat down by the lock yesterday and I had polarized sunglasses with me, and I kid you not, I must have spent an hour with the sunglasses going up and down and up and down, because the polarization changed the surface and the textures of the this gleaming blue lock. I mean, when do you get an hour just to go, oh, looks different? Unless you're at the opticians, lens 1, lens 2, and that's completely different. I think we should probably wrap this one up by encouraging all of the listeners, and we should all unmute, and we should all say, fuck this shit, loudly and with passion, because that seems to be the answer. You can forget your Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy 42.
Wait, before we end, and I want everybody to give their final thoughts. I have a good news story that I want to share, but because I found a website called goodnewsnetwork.org that is just good news stories. And there's a really cute one that is recent that I want to share. So everybody, give your final thoughts on this, share the story, and then we can all say, fuck this shit. I mean, I'm going to be saying that all day today. It's my personal mantra for today. Anyway, so. You got thoughts, Gab?
Share the story. What's the story?
Oh, you want the story first or final thoughts?
Okay, final thoughts. I had to laugh when Alec was talking about the forest bathing. You know what? And I sound old now, but when I was a kid back in the 70s, forest bathing meant every Sunday your parents trekked you into the forest for a walk. And as a kid, we didn't want to go sometimes because they were like, oh, again, walking around, little. The way you are when you're 13 or 14, like, teenager. If somebody would have said to me at the time that people forget how to do that, and it's getting out of fashion and then it becomes so special that you will pay somebody going for a walk in the forest, I would have laughed at them. I said, no way in a million years will that happen. Are you stupid? You know what I mean? I'm dragged here by my parents. Why would I pay anyone money for that? Now, of course, an adult, I love going for my walks. If you would have told me that at 13, I would have gone like, what? That's my final thought.
Just do it, right? Just laugh, let go for that walk, take that time to yourself. Rain is great. I've gone on rides in the rain, and I gotta tell you, other than the feeling of it hitting my face, right? It's actually, even that is like, I feel like getting stuck in the rain sometimes, it kind of washes the shit off of me. And it kind of brings me more to being present, like exactly in that moment. And I think that's what I like most about riding, is that I'm more in the moment when I'm on the bike. And the more times that we have the opportunity of being in the moment, I think that in itself is a life well lived.
It's cool, man. We have a park right practically in our backyard, and we took the dog for a walk last weekend, and that was, talk about pure joy. That dog, we had him off leash because we're like training him to like come back, and he had the freedom, and he was running and his little ass wiggling, and then he would come back, and it was like he is joy in motion right now, that he's with his people, he's got freedom, he's running, he's smelling, he's experiencing whatever. And that was pretty joyful for me as well, because it was like the backyard, we got some activity. Yeah, we need to be doing more of that. More of that. Just more of that, less of the shit. That's my closing final thought for that.
Yeah, we've talked about like animal regulation before, but a friend of mine's family have just adopted a street dog, and honestly, the videos being shared of this puppy that has come into their lives, sort of chosen them realistically, and they've opened their hearts and they've accepted that choosing, and it's just an absolute joy to see this puppy that could have had a really bloody miserable life, let's face it, on living on the street, to having been adopted, having his first bath, bouncing around in the yard. For him, the world has changed beyond any measure, and just the joy of seeing that. We should put a picture of Smokey in the comments as well, so everybody can share the joy.
We can. He's just awesome. So before we end, I found, like I said, this website called goodnewsnetwork.org, and They have tons of good news stories, and I came upon this one. So to end, this is a good news story, and I think it's really cute. A penguin, believed to be the oldest in the world, has just celebrated her 38th birthday. She's fucking 38-year-old penguin with an impressive cake topped with fishy treats, right? How cute is this? So her name is Spneb, Spneb, who was named after the medication which saved her life, is said to be the oldest Humboldt penguin on the planet, according to Global Zoo records. So she's currently in Paradise Park Wildlife Sanctuary, which is in Cornwall in the UK, said despite her advanced years, she has not lost her sparkle and is still as inquisitive as ever. The sanctuary marked Sneb's milestone on April 16th with a party and a special ice cake loaded with her favorite treats like Cornish sardines and sprats. Her keepers presented the cake to the birthday girl in front of her fans, both those with flippers and those without. Sneb's keeper, Becky Waite, said the penguin still enjoys a healthy appetite and a nosy peek out of her nest box despite being the eldest in the colony. Well, happy birthday, Sneb. How fucking cute is that? She gets a cake with fish. I mean, that's joy for a penguin. I love it.
Yes, and we will put a link to that as well in the comments. Right, listeners, next one, you're going to need to keep your hair combed back because it's our 100th episode. So we will see you all then. Cheers.